Nightmare creatures, dangerous beasts in the dream realm, also had soul cores, and they could have multiple ones. The bigger and stronger the creature, the more cores it would possess. To increase their own power, Awakened sought out powerful nightmare creatures to fight despite the danger. Another benefit of completing the first nightmare was that aspirants would become dreamers and gain access to the dream realm, a place where they would stay until they found an exit. This time before entering the dream realm was important for training and preparing, but Sunny only had about a month, not a lot of time. Sunny also knew that every awakened received a unique aspect ability, a power that made them stand out. These abilities could be anything, from combat skills to magic, and they were the key to survival in the dream realm. However, with the aspect came a flaw, something that could be harmful, or even deadly. Sunny wasn't sure what his own aspect would be, but he hoped it would be something powerful. He also wondered if the flaw he would get would be manageable, or crippling. Let's hope my aspect improves by the end of this, he thought. There was also a small chance that if an aspirant did especially well, their aspect could devolve early. The stronger the aspect, the higher its rank. The lowest rank was dormant, and the highest was divine, although no one had ever reached that level. Sunny cursed, "Who needs excellence? Just give me power." As he thought about his situation, Sunny realized the sun was getting lower, and the air had grown colder. It wasn't much, but it helped pass the time. Night was coming. The group of travelers is struggling to survive as they continue their difficult journey up the mountain. Sunny is exhausted and barely holding on, but surprisingly, Shifty, one of the slaves, seems to be in worse condition than him. His body is weak, and he looks feverish. He collapses the moment they stop, and instead of his usual angry outbursts, he lies still and silent, only moving when he drinks greedily from his water flask. The group is concerned, especially Hero, who tells Shifty to conserve his water, but Shifty drinks it all. Sunny wasn't fooled by the performance. He had learned long ago that people who acted overly kind often had hidden motives. They were either weak fools or dangerous monsters. Scholar didn't seem like a fool, so Sunny grew more cautious with each passing moment. It wasn't easy to trust anyone here, and Sunny knew that well. He had survived by being skeptical, never trusting anyone too easily. "We need to keep moving," said Hero, his voice steady, but even though his words were calm, Sunny could sense an emotion underneath, though he couldn't tell what it was. Scholar agreed with a sigh, and turned away. Sunny stayed still for a second, his gaze lingering on the blood-stained rocks. Why did he feel so guilty? Shifty had gotten what he deserved. Shaking the feeling off, he followed the others. The climb was getting tougher. With each step, the higher they went, the more the wind pushed against them, threatening to knock them off balance. The air was thin, and it was becoming harder to breathe. Sunny felt dizzy, his body fighting against the altitude sickness. Altitude sickness was a cruel thing. It didn't care if you were strong or weak. Even the most fit person could struggle with it. Some lucky ones might recover after a while, but others could suffer for days or even weeks, and in the worst cases, it could even kill. On top of that, the cold was unbearable. Despite their warm clothing, the freezing wind cut through them like a knife. Sunny felt feverish yet freezing, cursing his decision to be here in the first place. But there was no turning back. They had to keep going. Hours passed as they continued to climb. Sunny was beginning to doubt that they would ever find the path Scholar had mentioned. Maybe it was a lie. Maybe it had been destroyed a long time ago. Maybe they had already passed it without realizing. Just as hope was starting to fade, they finally found it. The path was narrow, carved into the black rock, like a trail made by some ancient tool or magic. It was rough, not paved, and in some places, it was covered by snow. But most importantly, it was flat. Sunny had never been so relieved to see something flat in his life. Without a word, Scholar dropped his bag and sat down. He was pale, struggling for breath, but a small smile touched his lips. "Told you we'd find it." Hero gave him a brief nod, but didn't seem too impressed. "Get up, we can't rest yet." Scholar blinked, then looked up at him, his face full of exhaustion. Just give me a few minutes." Hero was about to respond, but then Sunny put a hand on his shoulder. Hero turned to face him, confused. "What is it?" he asked. Sunny pointed down the way they had come. "It's gone." "What's gone?" Hero asked, still not understanding. Sunny gestured again. "Shifty's body, it's gone." Hero and Scholar moved quickly to the edge of the path, and peered down. The blood stains were still visible on the rocks, but the body was gone. Scholar stepped back, visibly shaken. The young soldier tensed, his hand gripping the sword at his side. The three of them exchanged looks, realizing what this meant. "The monster," Scholar said, his voice trembling. "It's following us." Hero clenched his teeth. "You're right. If it's that close, we'll have to fight it soon." The thought of facing the monster was terrifying. It felt impossible, but it was clear to both Sunny and Scholar that it was only a matter of time before they had to face it. But to their surprise, Scholar didn't panic. He lowered his head and said quietly, "Not necessarily." Hiro and Sunny looked at him, waiting for an explanation. "Explain," Hiro asked. Scholar sighed deeply, his voice steady. "The beast has followed us this far in a day. That means it's either smart enough to know where we're going, or it's following the scent of blood." Hiro thought for a moment, then nodded. "I see. So we can throw it off our trail." "Exactly," Scholar said, his tone growing more confident. "We just need to create a distraction." Hiro raised an eyebrow. "How?" Scholar hesitated before finally speaking, his voice low. "We'll have to make one of us bleed. We drag him down the path, leave him behind as bait, and then we continue up. The monster will follow the blood, and we'll have time to escape." Sunny couldn't believe what he was hearing. The plan sounded cruel, and he knew exactly who they were talking about using as bait. He could feel the cold weight of the moment. Hiro stared at Scholar, shocked. "How can you suggest something so terrible?" Scholar acted hurt, putting on an innocent expression. "It pains me truly, but if we don't do this, we'll all die. At least one life can save the others. The gods will reward him for his sacrifice." Sunny couldn't help but feel disgusted by Scholar's words. But what could they do? If they didn't follow through, they were all dead. The young soldiers stood still, struggling with the decision. Sunny just watched, knowing that the fate of one of them was about to be sealed. The atmosphere was tense, as the soldier stood silently, his gaze avoiding Sunny's. His hand rested on the sword, but he didn't make a move. The young slave, Sunny could feel the uncertainty growing in him, and it made him nervous. He didn't understand what the soldier was thinking, or what was going on inside his head. He just knew it was making the moment even more terrifying. After a long silence, the soldier finally spoke. "I have only one question." Both Sunny and Scholar, the older slave, held their breaths, waiting for the question. "Yes," they both responded in unison. "You said that one of us must be sacrificed to save the other two. Why him?" the soldier asked, pointing at Scholar. "From what I can see, you seem much closer to the grave than he does." Sunny was about to mock the soldier, but he held back. Scholar quickly replied with a calm explanation. He pointed out that before the first attack, the young slave had already been injured from the soldier's whip. During the attack, the boy had also been covered in the blood of another slave, and his cloak was soaked in the blood of their former owner. Scholar explained that keeping Sunny alive could endanger them all, making him the best choice for sacrifice. Sunny didn't know what to say, but he couldn't help but curse inside. Scholar's reasoning was solid. Even the soldier seemed to agree with the logic, but he wasn't finished yet. The soldier turned to Scholar, a dangerous light in his eyes. "That's true," he said, "but you missed something important." Scholar raised an eyebrow, clearly unsure of what the soldier was talking about. The soldier stepped forward, his expression growing colder. "I know who you are, Your Grace," he said. "I know what you've done, and how you ended up a slave. Just one of the many horrible things you've done would be enough for me to want to kill you." His eyes burned with anger. "If anyone deserves to be sacrificed here, it's you." Scholar's eyes widened, the realization sinking in. "But, the smell of blood," he stammered. The soldier didn't flinch. "Don't worry about that," he said coldly. "I'll make sure you bleed enough to overpower whatever scent the